Welcome back, future medicos. This video is for those candidates who are interested in pursuing MBBS overseas, or those candidates who are keeping MBBS abroad as a backup option in case they don't get a good score in NEET. In this video, we are having a very interesting conversation between Mr. Karthikeyan, who is a medical student in Chennai, and Dr. Shaigi, who got her medical degree from Philippines, came back to India, successfully cleared the foreign medical graduate examination. She is a better person to speak about the medical education overseas, particularly how the things work in Philippines. Should you go for Philippines? Is it a good idea to go and pursue education in Philippines? How the education differs from India and Philippines? What will be the difficulties I will face if I don't do MBBS in India, but I do MBBS in Philippines? So you may have lots and lots of questions, and this complete video will clear all these doubts. In fact, for me, this conversation is really an eye opener about a lot of confusions I myself had about overseas education. So this is going to be a very, very, very long interview. It's going to be almost more than an hour. So if you are really interested in medical education overseas, I think you should listen to the entire video. I have also provided the topics so that in case if you are not interested in a particular topic, you can jump between the topics. You can straight away go to your topic that is of interest to you. Because it is a very long video, I do not want you to be stuck somewhere. So you can see the topics. The link to the individual topics will be in the description below. You can click that particular link and go to the specific topic and you can listen to the conversation. If you have any specific questions after this conversation, please leave your questions in the comments below so that we can talk to Dr. Shaigi again and put your comments, put your questions, put your doubts, put your questions clarified with the right person. Thank you. I don't want to take much time, and you can start listening to Mr. Karthikeyan and Dr. Shaigi. Over to you, Mr. Karthikeyan.
Hello viewers, this is Karthikeyan, second year MBBS, also part-time in biology faculty working in private institute. I've trained 60 to 70 government students last year and currently an active volunteer looking for opportunities to train government students. So if you want to be part of this initiative or you know any government students who want to get coaching for NEET, you can probably contact our team. We'll be able to help you out. Today's session is on understanding different aspects of Philippine education. And the need for understanding Philippine education, it actually bloomed after NEET 2020, where the cutoff increased that a candidate with a score of late 400s and early 500s was not able to get a seat. And even last week, I saw news where a candidate had given 12 lakh amount to an agent and that agent disappeared. So there is a huge possibility and a fear among parents that they will get into trap of these fraudulent agencies. So today we are going to look into how an admission should be taken at Philippines universities, how to identify the agencies, and about the curriculum, about the culture, and other questions regarding the education. So for all this, we need a person who can be at her best or at his best and give a right information. So we have got Dr. Shaigi ma'am with us, who had completed her undergraduation in Philippines and currently practicing at her own clinic and also looking for internship. So hello ma'am. How are you?
Hello, Karthik. Nice meeting you.
Same here ma'am.
So it's a great pleasure that you chose me to have an interview over this topic, which I think I can give my best so that other people who are looking for the informations will get a benefit from my interview. So I think I will try my level best as to up to my knowledge.
Sure, great. So ma'am, before we start with an interview, can you give a brief introduction about yourself so everybody will come to know about you?
Okay, I'm basically a Malayali, but staying and born and brought up in Chennai. So I finished all my 11th, 12th, everything in Chennai. So I know well and good Tamil because I took Tamil as my second language. Then after that, I completed my 12th standard. I got 95 in physics, chemistry, biology, 95% mark. But that time there was no need that like this. It's not a mandatory. But other state, Kerala and all, they have their entrance exam. But in Tamil Nadu, it's purely on the cutoff basis. So we doesn't need NEET on that time. So, but being in forward cast, we need to have a 200 out cutoff. So all those things I couldn't make it here, but I tried on all over the India, other states, if I could place it. But it's still it had a. I met so many fraud agents and all. So
Oh,
all my life journey on that 6 months from my result time to the time I went to Philippines was a roller coaster. I saw all the different kind of people who makes money from this thing. So after that, I thought like let's say some like go for another country. That is also a best option. But initially, when I started going and all that time, I don't know. So that's how it started. I completed my medicine in Philippines. It's 6 year course. I did it it's like BS and medicine. So 2 years in a different university and 4 other years in a different university. And then I came here last September. I took my FMG on December 4th, and I passed with a nice score. And
congratulations.
then I applied for my provisional license in Tamil Nadu Medical Council. I got my registration eligibility certificate already, so I'm looking for my internship hospitals now. And I have my dad is an Ayurvedic doctor. He has his own clinic since last 30
Great.
years. So now I am I'm one of the managing partner of that establishment already. So now I'm working also as a part time consultant there, and now I also have some local clinics and all. I'm just going for a practice basis. Now nothing for a documentation like document. I can get anything, but just for the practice basis, I'm just going in some clinics. I have some medicine, some patients in city side, like Chromepate, all those things. So I'm doing now. So this is has nothing much more to tell about me. And being apart from curriculum, I'm so good in speech and all. I got 2 times state level award for speech and 1 time national level when I'm in school. Now, apart from that, there is nothing much to tell about. And
About your trust and about the committees where you are vice president and all.
yeah, for after this, all those issues was what we faced after coming back from Philippines. We started off thinking a new association. As there are so many associations already, but most of them are having their own agenda. They are paid by some associations, so they are working for them. So all those things were happening. There is no a association is working for the real benefit of the students from the foreign medical especially foreign medical graduates. So we had an issue last December that some people who took the exam because of the deficiency document, their results has been held up, and they were like informed that your exams will be cancelled. You won't be having your results anymore. So that is really a big problem because that is not genuine. Because if they produce the necessary documents, they should release the results. But this last time they said no. So then we form an association of people who like more than 1,000 people got held their results. So they form an association, and one among our Philippine graduate is very good active in the Gujarat politics also. So he was a very much influenced a person. So he formed me like group, and he personally took an appointment with Dr. Ashavardhan and meet him personally, and he requested all those things. And within a week after that main results out, they got their results by 24th December. So that was a big achievement from our side. So then we thought like let's make a association so that whenever it's not like whenever you need a problem you form a group. It should be there for every time so that we can discuss on and off every problem so that it will be good for everyone. So then we started a non-profitable organization, like All Indian Medical Graduate Association. Then we already gave all our committee, like committee minutes, meetings, all those things we are planning to do to some officials in Gujarat and on the central. And they said they will make an appointment for us to meet them personally so that we can have an official group and we can register the association officially so then we can run it over. And so that's the thing we are happening. So for that southeast and south part, I am the representative. I'm the vice president as of now, because there is no official nothing official elections were happened. It's just a nominated post. I think I can do my level best to achieve something for all the people from south. It's from Bangalore, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Hyderabad, Telangana, Orissa, everywhere. I'm the for this all those state. I am the head. So I think I can do my level best and I can achieve something for the people who really need the help. Hopefully it will happen.
Sure, ma'am. Best wishes. And this brief introduction is going to give every undergraduate, not only people who are going to get into medicine, also are currently in medicine, that doctor is not only going to handle patient, but beyond that, taking responsibility, leadership qualities is also very important. And your post and your introduction is really giving an image that we need that quality. Thank you for that.
Thank you
ma'am.
so much.
So let's get into the session. As I was telling in the introduction, very first fear of every parent and even most of the academic counselors is people falling into the trap of fraudulent agencies. And many of us do not have a clarity on the admission procedures that a candidate must follow to get a seat in Philippines. So is it that we can get admission only through agencies, or do we have any alternate where we can approach the universities directly for admissions? And if in case it is only through agencies, how a parent should identify a true agency and a fraudulent agency? So about the admission procedures.
Before I will tell my own experience,
Sure.
which I gone through. So that will be a great example.
Yeah.
So when I started, I started looking not only for Philippines. I started for looking for China, Georgia, Russia, all those things. For Russia, especially for Russia, because Russia was the first country started for this foreign medical graduates. It was long back started. So many my seniors and all, they are from Russia. So for Russia, especially there, the meetings will be conducted in the Russian consulate. It's not like a private agent. There they will have a different agents, and they all are authorized by the Russian consulate. So if someone is not authorized by them, better you don't go. Better don't take risk on especially for the country Russia. And other countries like Georgia, Mauritius, China, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Philippines, this and all, they have so many agents, but there is no consulate is like supporting or giving any
Recognition.
direct relationship with the agents.
Okay.
They can go through the agents or they can go through them directly. But what is the problem going directly? Like there are so many documentation work. It's not really easy. It takes long time and everything. So you really need a good patience to do all those things. Also, that's the thing. That's why we really go for agents. We don't know what are the exact way of getting that procedure to be done. So that's why we always prefer agents. But if you want, there is more opportunities you can go alone and do, but it might take time. It takes a long time to finish it off. So that's the issue. But then the fraudulent agents, they are the only big thing. Because why there are so many fraudulent agents, is like we are so much greedy that they make it use of it. See, in my time, the same university, different agents will quote a different amount. Like some agent will quote 3 lakhs for this university. The same university, other agents will quote like a 4 lakhs. So same university, same procedure, same course, everything is same, but the cost might be different. So what we will go for the cheaper one. Always we will look like that. We will go for a cheaper. So sometimes if we choose cheaper, they will make really cheap of us and they will take all the money. They will never going to do anything. So when I started, my agent were telling like, you will have a whole hostel there, you will have a mess there, you will have a library, everything. And we fall for all these sugar coated words.
Very true.
And when I went there, there is the still the hostel which is so called to be hostel. It's not a hostel, it's an apartment. But that hostel is still under construction. The construction not yet finished. There is no mess and all. You want, you can cook. Or else you can go for the Filipino food. Because initially when I go there, I started my BS in a different province. It's not the capital. So it's an inner part. It's like some village. So there is no Indian mess and all. So you have to cook, or else you can go for the Filipino food. It's okay if you are okay with it. And there is no library, nothing. Whatever he said, there is nothing. But once you go there, then there is no option. You have to go. You are already took the decision that you will do here. So you have no options. You have to do it. The first day, the only day I met my agent. Then after I haven't never met him. We went together with this all my students friend who came with me. We went college. We do our admissions by our own. Everything we done by our own. That's the thing. Sometimes that kind of problem it will happen for each and everyone. But some agents are there. So for me, the one which I finished medicine is in Our Lady of Fatima, which is one of the best university in Philippines, and they are the top performers in the board exams. So for them, there is only principal agent. There is only one agent that is called Silver Peak. They will never take any student from any other agency. That some colleges follow that kind of principle. They have a principle. Like they have only one principal agent. They will get all the students from that agent only. They can have a sub-agents. That is not a problem. But all should come under Silver Peak. At the end of the day, everyone will come under Silver Peak. No one can have their own or separate admissions in college. Especially if you're an Indian, you're coming from India, they want us to be under an agent. You can't come all the way like that. You should be there. And then that will be Silver Peak. There is no other agent they are promoting. Like Davao, they have a principal agent. And some universities have like, but for AMA and other universities in Philippines itself, they have so many agents. Even some students are agents right now. Once they get into medicine, after 2 years, they will become agent.
Part-time job.
Yeah, part-time job. They will try to get the money from other students, the junior students, so they can pay the tuition fee and all, and they can have for the cost of living and all, they can get money from that. They will become agent. Some students are doing really good. I'm not telling that everyone is fraud, but some are really fraud. Even my friend had a bad experience. She gave money to someone and he went off, and now she lost almost like 3 to 4 lakhs. That happens. Even he's our classmate when we are doing BS. Now then he become an agent. Then we thought that he will do everything, and by the end of the day, he also cheated us, and it happens to everyone. So it's like there is no trademark sign to find a fraudulent agent or non-fraudulent agent. It's all up to, we can inquire. Like once they tells you something, then they express something, that from the way they explains itself, you can understand. And you can ask them like, do there is any other student
Records.
records, like a previous record, you can give some reference, and you can call those students and their parents if you could meet them in India, and you can meet them, go personally ask them about the agent. They said, okay, they are really good, they are trustworthy, then go ahead. But there is no other way of finding. It's all about the faith. It's all about faith. There is no any written evidence or written document, nothing, written certificates, nothing. It's all about the faith we have. It's all about how much you go through it. Oh, that's it. You can do like that.
Basically, we just have to investigate.
Yeah, it's all about how much you explore on that. You should, like, if you heard something, if you go with that agent, okay, then you just should not finalize that and you should go. You explore somewhere else. you ask someone else. So you go through all the agencies as much you can. Then at the end of the day, you evaluate each and everyone and you give a mark to them. And then you think, then your gut feeling will say, this is true, this is good. Then go with it. But even something happen after that, you have to face it. But one thing I really want to tell you, once you are in Philippines already, and the Filipinos are really good, they will really make you to come out of the problem. They really give good help and good advice. Not all Filipinos, there are some people in even 10%, only 10% Filipinos are bad, I feel. Almost 90% are so good. They are known for their hospitality and like friendly behavior. So you can really go through it. Even I think the same thing applicable for China, Russia, all those things. Now we know so many Indians are doing in China and Russia. So once you get there, you will meet some Indian. You will meet on your way, so that you will can ask them how should do all those things. I think they will help. They can feel your pain when you're here. They can know because they also gone through the same thing. So they can know. So they will like really will find a way to help you.
Okay. So viewers who have decided to taste the cream of abroad education, you need to probably start investigating about the agencies. That's what ma'am is trying
Yes.
to tell. So ma'am, next thing is before decision making, there is one specific student question and there is a specific parent question.
What?
With respect to student, it's about the entertainment aspect.
Okay.
To one candidate with whom I spoke after NEET 2020, he was asking me, sir, do we have theaters? Do we have mall cultures there? Do we have Indian movies being screened there? Kala movie, Kalapati movie being screened.
That is also really neat. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't want me to make fun. You guys are going to study. You should be really studious. Or I won't say like that. Everything is a part of life, and especially it's a college life. They have so much dream from their childhood about their college life. So it's obvious they will ask questions. It's like Philippines is a country of happiness. The hashtag they always give for Philippines, it's more fun in Philippines. This is the hashtag. Like Incredible India, that's what we
Oh,
use, right? For them, it's more fun in Philippines. Of course, it's more fun. There are so many islands, there are so many places to visit, and everywhere is so good. There are so many malls and so many theaters. But Indian cinema, it's about like there are so many Indian businessmen out there in Philippines. Like there are so many business, even in hotels and restaurants and grocery shops. So many Punjabis are there in India. So what they do is before they won't screen Indian movies before like 2 to 4 years. The year when I went, like 14, this is 2014, I went. So that time and all, there was very less amount of Indians. So even you screen a movie, there won't be that much people coming to theater to visit to watch the movie. So it's really a big loss for them if they own the theater and they get all those things. It's really a loss. But now, as the students, number of students has been raised, and so many are coming, and they can also feel that they want a theater feeling. So when I am there, when I am doing my third year of medicine, Theri movie was being screened.
oh,
Okay, that I went Theri. Then what is the next? Miracle. That and all I went to theater and watched.
okay.
So it's there, of course.
It's
But mostly English movies are there. You don't want any big thing to think about English movie. All English movies will be screened there. You have lots and lots of malls. You will find really a entertaining country. Philippines is so happy. There are so many islands. There are 100 islands where that's a place in there is a one place called 100 islands. It's a cluster of 100 islands. Even you can stay in one island for one day. It's not that costly also. So you can have a budget friendly trips in Philippines. So it's really good.
great. So probably students might note this point at the number
Yeah.
one. A parent specific question is every parent has got concern about the cultural differences. So the impact of cultural difference and the food. As a parent, my daughter likes rasam, she likes kara korambu, she likes this, but will she get that in Philippines? And with respect to culture, it's not only about worshiping God, but culture is what is going to define our discipline as an individual. So, what impact will the cultural difference have on the candidate, or does it have any impact on the candidate?
Of course, because see, for a Filipino, a normal Filipino, if he want to pursue medicine, before going to medicine, he have to do a 4 years undergraduate course. For them, medicine is already a PG course. So once after their 12th standard, they have to go 4 years of any degree courses like oriented to medicine. Like they can go for med tech, they can go for BS biology, psychology, behavioral medicine, occupational medicine, then occupation therapy, physiotherapy. Then after that, you should go to medicine. Before that, they also have an exam called NMAT, which is same like NEET, but not that much tough. You just want to get 40 percentile. It's not percentage, it's percentile. Percentile, 40 percentile. Once you get 40 percentile, you can apply for all the medical university out there in Philippines, and you can get the admission or which in the Philippines the university you like to have. But some universities, they give preference to Filipinos because their country policy. Because some government universities like University of Philippines, all those things, they want Filipinos. They don't want any foreigners to do their do medicine in their university, because they have 2 years bond. So once after you finish the medicine, you have to do the 2 years bond. So if you are not a Filipino, you find really hard to stay back again 2 years and to do the bond. So if it's Filipino, they will give more preference. But other universities, there are so many private universities, they give preference to international students. Once you get 40%, you can pursue medicine in any other universities in Philippines. Then cultural difference. The culture is far, far, far different from us. There are nothing like, there is no bond. You can find liquor in all the grocery shops. It's really, it's there is one shop called a 7-Eleven. It's like a 24-hour shop. You can get liquor there, but there is a time you can't get, like from 10 p.m. to morning 5 or 6. That the only time you can't get. Or else other before you can go, you can buy like a grocery, like a chips, like a dal you buy in Chennai, you can buy it like that. There is no restriction for liquors and all, because Filipinos are they know their limits. They are like not like us. It's the part of their culture. It's a part of their culture. So since from birth, they know how to handle all those things. And there are so many other things, like so many culture difference are there. Just openly speaking, there are some prostitute areas are all over there in Philippines. Some areas are there. It's all there in Philippines. But as what I want to tell you, like it's all about an individual. You can decide. It's all about an individual. See, you can decide from where you're coming, from what is your family background, and at what circumstance you came here, and what is the purpose you came here, and what you're doing. I have so many other friends who used to have drinks every night. I don't judge them that they are drinking, sir. I should judge them. It's not like that. It's their behavior. They know what's the limit. If they know the limit, then it's not a problem. It's up to them, their personal life. So
basically a self-responsibility.
Yes, it's self-responsibility. It should be you should know what you really need. So if your friend is drinking, if your friend is having some drugs, all those things, it doesn't mean that you should also have it. It's not like that. It's like you don't want to, let's abstain from yourself from that. It's not a problem. It's up to you. It's up to each and every individual. As you know, you came from a country which respects more culture, more dignity. Everything should be organized, traditional, everything. The values we respect, you should know that. So once you get out of the hands of your parents and now you are having a freedom, don't misuse it. Use it properly. Can have an enjoyment, can go to malls, you can buy the products you like, you can go to theaters, you can have a movie. If you want, like everything you can do. But everything should have a limit. It should not destroy the purpose you came to Philippines. The purpose is like you have to attain medicine degree. That is the one thing you came, right? So you should not screw that thing and you go for some other parties all the night, having parties. Yeah, you can have party. One single day will never going to ruin your whole medicine life. But every day of partying, you'll go surely going to ruin that. So it's up to you. You just make a limit. You just mark yourself a limit. No one will see. There is no parents, and even the college will never instruct you to do this thing, this thing. They will never give. They will never get into your personal life. If you're not coming to college, if you're not writing your exams, you're not doing your assignments, then they will ask you questions. They can fail you. But after your college time, wherever you go, whatever you do, they will never get into it. That's their none of their business. So they will never going to ask you anything. So you are the guardian, you are the parent for yourself. There is no one else to teach you, no one else to control you. So you make yourself a plan. You draw your Lakshman Rega and you work on that. That's it. So for the food, in Manila and all, you have so many Indian restaurants and Indian mess. As there are so many people studying in capital city, we have so many Indian restaurant, Indian mess. So getting food will not be a big problem as of now. The initially when 2014 and all, there was no mess this much enough mess for the students. So there is only one Punjabi dhaba and all. So getting South Indian food will be a very hard time. But now it's like so many mess. There are so many mess. There are so many canteens. So you can have your food there. That is a pretty good cost. Like it's not that costly or not that cheap. It's moderate and you can have it. It's not a big deal. If you know to cook, it's really good. You can cook. Initially, I too don't know to cook when I went Philippines, but now thought now I learned everything in my process of medicine. I also learned how to cook because that's a survival. So if you want to eat a good food, you have to know how to cook. So then you will learn, and you can get Indian groceries there. All the things you need to for the cook like dal, all those things you can get on Indian grocery shops are there in Manila, so many places. So you can get once you are in a different province, an interior province, that's the time you really want to have a hard time. So what you can do is you can carry all those masala items from India, or you can ask your parents to send a parcel. We have a parcel service here in from Gindi and that one in High Court, near High Court. There's the General Post Office, the big one. You can send it from there. It takes like normally it takes like 10 working days to reach you. They won't accept the liquid products like oil, that and all you can send. You can't send in parcel. Like apart from that, all the spices, masala, everything, dal, they won't accept rice because exporting rice is it's unethical. And some poppy seeds are there, kasa kasa, which we say use in food. That is also it's a part of it's like a drug. So that and all prohibited from sending to different countries. So you can't send that things. Apart from that, everything you can send. There are 10 working days you can reach that 1 kilo. It's like 200 or 150 something, 1 kilo for 1 kilo. Then you can send like 6,000, 7,000. You can send like 10 kilos. I think that is more than enough masala is there for 6 to 7 months.
It's not an issue, but the culture we need to adapt.
Culture, yeah.
As you said, serve the purpose is serve the purpose is not only for Philippine graduate, it is for even Indian undergraduate.
Yeah.
So really serve purpose and to be within the limits is a common advice for every individual. It's not.
It's not just for Philippines, it's for every country.
Everybody.
Apart from in Philippines, also in Russia, everything, all these European countries and countries, everyone they doesn't have a restrictions. From the birth, they don't give so many restrictions. They won't pamper their child like what we do in India. That and all never happen in all those foreign countries. And so they know their limits from very beginning. And if they do something, that is also their part of culture, their culture. So when you go there for some time, you don't try to adopt their culture because after your medicine degree, you will come back to India.
Accept what is needed.
Yeah. So don't like you have been grown under this culture for 17 years. Once you go there, you don't change within 1 year. You should not change like completely a different person. So that I think really awkward. So if you know your limits, everywhere is heaven for you. That is not a big problem.
Nice statement, ma'am. Now let's get to the next question, ma'am. Mostly, the next question that comes with every parent and also student is about the curriculum. And there is also a myth. I personally believe it's a myth that the academic atmosphere there is slightly distorted because it is believed or it is believed that the candidates with a low score who did not get any seat in any part of the country, they get into Philippines. So about the academic atmosphere distortion is a concern. I would rather say it's a myth. Then about the curriculum. So there is no, in foreign countries, you have got a pre-medical course, then a medical course. And about the exam, here we have got something called university exam that comes at the end of every year. But how is the exam pattern there? So basically about the curriculum, about the course, and how the candidates are trained there.
So as you said, there's a myth, and we always been treated like like stepmother children here in India. Like we comes from, we always have a like that kind of attitude towards us since from the starting till now. So if you introduce yourself like you are a foreign medical graduate to someone, they already started evaluating you by like you are like a dumb, you didn't get your seat in India. That's the time you went for abroad and you didn't study there. You're always having a party, and we just paid and we got our documents and we came back. That is a normal thing every individual in India is having right now. But basically, I really want to explain. I don't know anyone in any university or any country, especially in this like professional courses like engineering, medicine, lawyer, everywhere. There is a nothing big part of a university to do. It's all about individual. How much you are interested in, you're passionate to that profession. You really love to learn it. Like if you really have that gut feeling that you should become a doctor, then you really want to work on that. Each and everything, even in every subject is important. Every topic is important. If you want to be a lawyer, you have to know all those sections, all those case numbers, all those judgments, all the verdicts happen from since long back till now, so that you can use it. Same like that in medicine also. It's all the professional courses demands that. I don't know about Russia and all. They have the language for 1 year. In China and Russia, you have to learn the language. But in Philippines, we don't want to really need to know the language because most of the Filipinos know English and they don't have a scripture. Different script. Their scripture is English. So the way they talk maybe it might be different, Tagalog, but they have the scripture is English. So most of them Filipinos knows English, but very few people they have hard time in talking in English. During the time of internship, we have an internship in the last end 1 year, one whole year, like 12 months. That time when you get a placement, like when you want to work in a government hospital, you really need to know Tagalog because the people comes from slum area and all, they are not good in English. So you have to know that basic Tagalog. But that was also not that mandatory. The Filipino clerks will be there with you to help you, so you can find good time and they will really help you. So basically the curriculum is, even you finish your 12th standard in India, you have to do a pre-med course. For a Filipino, it's a 4-year course. For us, it's like a 16 months course, from 10 to 16 months before in 2014. Now it's compulsory 2 years course. The people who are going right now from 2020, so the pre-med course they have to do is for 2 years. For us, it's 16 months. It's like a 4 semester, 4 months each semester. And by the end of this one semester, we have a research. We have to do some research topic like a thesis we have to submit. And after that, we will graduate. After once you graduate that course, we have to write NMAT exam. It basically is some IQ exam. You have that quantitative analysis, all those things which we have in normal aptitude test. And we have a physics, chemistry, biology, and the social science, like all community medicine oriented part of Philippines.
Once again.
Like what are the 4 things? Like first part 1 is completely aptitude, like quantitative analysis, or the diagram analysis, picture analysis, and all those things. The part 2 is like physics, chemistry, biology, which we really know. And the one other part is like social, it's like a community base, which we study in medicine. We have a community medicine, right? It more orient to that topic, the social. It's not exactly the community medicine, but more or less same topics will come in the social science. You have to know that one paper, each paper carries 25, 25, 25, 25 questions. So 100 questions in the afternoon, 100 questions in the morning. It's like one whole day exam. Once you finish that, within 10 to 15 working days, you will get your results to the mail. If you have a 40 percentile, then you can apply for all possible universities in Philippines. And it's really, most of the universities are accepting 40 percentile now. Then after that, you will get into the proper medicine. The proper medicine is 3 years of classroom education and 1 year internship. So one whole year you have to work in hospitals in 12 months, and it's like all the departments: OB-GYN 2 months, pedia 2 months, medicine 2 months, surgery 2 months, 15 days of ENT, 15 days of opta, and 15 days of psychiatry, and 15 days of infectious medicine. This is the like breakdown of the internship. So first year in medicine, we will have like family medicine, community medicine. Then that's what we call as PSM here. And we have anatomy, basically like basics, anatomy, physio, biochemistry. In anatomy, we have microanatomy, also neuroanatomy. Then what they go is emergency medicine. They will teach you some part one emergency medicine in first year of medicine. Once you finish that, within second year, it's like clinical medicine, pathology, pharmacology, microbiology, family medicine. Forensic, it comes in third year for us. We have a psychiatry part 1, psychiatry part 2. So psychiatry part 2 will come in third year. Psychiatry part 1 will come in second year. It's like totally 10 subjects you have in second year. 10 subjects. So it's like a huge, because we study here 4.5 years in classroom and 1 year's internship. So what we are learning in 4.5, they are teaching you in 3 years. So it will be more subjects and more hectic schedule. Like sometimes I had class from 7 to 7, morning 7 to night 7. So that and all a hectic day. So it happens. If you really if you find a time in between them, then you're really lucky that you find some time. What will be the exam pattern? It's not like a one semester exam, like a one university exam. It's not like that. Every semester is 18 weeks. 18 weeks is one semester. Semester 1, semester 2. Every year have a 1-2 semester. And 2 semester, each semester have 18 weeks. And in 18 weeks, after like first 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you will have one exam that is called as preliminary exam. Then after 2 to 3 weeks, you have a second exam that is called as midterm exam. And after that, we have after the completing of the 18 weeks, we will have one more exam that is called as final exam. So prelim, midterm, finals. It's like all the exam matters. If you score less in prelim, try to match it up in midterms. All these 3 exams, they will take the average, and that will be your grade. It's not like one semester exam you can write and you can pass. It's not like that. If you're not performing good in prelims, then you try to try to patch it up with the midterms.
It's basically aggregate of all the 3 subjects.
Yeah, all the 3 exams they will aggregate it, and you will have a score, grand score, that will be your semestral score for each subject. And if you miss a subject, if you can't make it one subject, they will give a remedial exam, which will happen within 1 week after the major exam, after the major finals. Once after the finals, they will put the grade, and they will say they will take. Actually, their passing grade is 75%. It's not 50. Out of 100, you have to get 75. That is a passing. It's not the topmost score. It's a passing score. So sometimes the paper will go hard and you can't make it 75. Then that the time they will take a class average. If the class everyone is 65, then the class average, then the passing grade will fall to 65. Then that will be there. Then people who are couldn't make it with 65, they have to go for the remedials. The remedial will happen within 1 week after the major exam. There will be a remedial classes. You have to pay for that. You have to go for that remedial classes, and you have to write all everyday exams in remedial classes. And at the end of the remedial classes, you will have exam. And if you're not making even the remedial, then you will have a 1 year of backlog. You have to study that whole year again. Even you miss one subject also, no matter, you have to you have to do all that 1 year again.
So almost similar to what we have in our
Yeah,
supplementary.
yeah. Same
Uh,
like in third year, you have a medicine block and surgery block. And medicine block, you have so many subjects like all the IM subjects, then legal medicine, medical jurisprudence, yeah, all those things. For family medicine, we have family medicine research. We have, and in surgery part, we have OB/GYN surgery, ENT, Opta, NS. All other surgical subjects will come in surgical block. So if you miss one block, you have to repeat that whole block again. And if you pass
Okay.
that, you can go for internship.
So, ma'am, one thing I want to ask here is,
Mm.
now you told that the first thing that a candidate from India has to do is get into the pre-medical course. And you said
Yeah.
they have to do it at a different university. Now,
No,
if
not different university. It's like if you can do it in the same university you do in medicine, it's also fine. See, for me, when I went, it's like a government university. Because of this, I told you now that there's a fraud agent, and they chose a government university for us because that is much cheaper. But and they will get more money
more money.
because they want to pay very less to the college. Once I was doing my BS, I came to know that there is only one very, very limited seats for medicine. We are 200 students enrolled for BS. BS like Bachelor of Science, like BS, BSc, here what we call BSc. But once you graduate from that, only like 10 to 15 or maximum of 15 students can enroll for medicine. So all 150 other students should find other universities. That was the government protocol for the government university. So when I was doing my medicine, I was like exploring all the other universities in the Philippines. I was like going there. I'm asking what are the procedures to do, what will be your NMAT score, how many students you can accommodate. I almost went so many other universities in Philippines, and at the end of the day, I chose Fatima in all the bases. Like they have so many tie-up with American hospitals, and they are one of the best performing school in the Philippines because they always tops the board exams. All those things were there. So that then I wrote the NMAT and I got my 70 percentile. Then I thought like, okay, let's move to other university, because being in government university, you will always have a problem, because once you are there, you have to follow all the government rules. So it will be very strict. The exams are very strict. And then every now and then you should always keep your fingers crossed. So if anything can happen on the whole 4 years of journey. So it's really unsafe to take that decision. So I thought, okay, better move to some other university. That's the time I went to Fatima. But some of my friends, they did their BS in Fatima and they finished their medicine in Fatima. It is also possible. You can finish it in the same university. It's not a big problem. Once you can do it, you can do it. Like so many of my friends are doing like that. They can do both the degrees in same university.
So it's our choice, basically.
It's our choice. It's not anyone else's choice. It's our choice. If you want to change, you can change. If you are okay with that university, you know that you can make it out. Okay, then you just join the same university. You can finish it out.
Ma'am, next question is about the internship period. I have it's my own personal question that I want to address.
Okay.
The thing is, certain diseases are endemic to different places. Now, for example, if you take at India, we have lots of cases of dengue, malaria, other endemic diseases. And I don't think these endemic diseases of indigenous origin can be found in Philippines. So again, in Philippines, you have got some endemic diseases there. So how do you see this difference? Now, you get back to India, and if we try to meet a patient of an endemic disease, then is there any lag between the diseases and the treating modalities with respect to patients?
I think that Philippines doesn't have that problem because it's also a Southeast Asian country with the same tropical climate. So all those diseases you find here in India, You can find it in Philippines also because TB, there are so many TB cases are there. Dengue, so like dengue, it's there. So many dengue. There is a season we have called as dengue season. It's like June, July, August is our dengue season because that's rainy time in Philippines. It's like I can compare Philippines more with Kerala climate because usually it's like June, July, May, June, July, there will be a rain in my Kerala. So that's the same like July, August, we have heavy rain and even some, most of the time there will be a flood in Philippines.
Oh,
Okay, mostly there will be a flood. And all the things will go. But when you go for like country like Georgia, Russia, and all, they have cold climate. So all those endemic like dengue and all you can find there. But that people might have a hard time. So that's a very important thing. I chose Philippines. Initially, I go for Georgia, China, and all because they have cold climate, extremely cold, extreme cold. Some disease won't be there. Like in you can feel like so you can it can be so that some organism can't survive in that climate. So they will have a hard time. For me, when I'm studying in Philippines, I had almost same like I feel like India. All those cases I
typical
came
cases.
across, like yeah, TB, dengue, all the infectious disease, TB, dengue, tetanus, malaria, jaundice, everything, hepatitis, everything. It's same only. Nothing much different. And the way of treating might be different because all the medical equipments, medicines are really expensive in Philippines. They don't have any own medical equipments or medicine production. They should depend on some other country. Like mostly they get medicines from India. So that is really expensive. So their treatment modality is somewhat different, but still the
You'll be
procedures
able
are same. Yeah, still its procedures are same. But the way the medications they give, the way it's administrated, sometimes there will be there's a very slight difference. Now there is no much difference. So it's not that hard to find a difference between India and Philippines in this aspect.
Then coming to post graduation, the next
Okay.
thing that the candidate will start thinking about is the post graduation. Is there any option? Suppose a candidate he or she loves the Philippines atmosphere. She wants to pursue post graduation also there. Is there any option that a candidate can pursue post graduation in Philippines?
You can pursue, but what the problem is, the post graduation in Philippines is not accepted by India.
So you have to settle there.
Yeah, you have to settle there. But that is also a big problem. If you want to write the board exam in Philippines, you want to be a Filipino. Either you can marry a Filipino, then you will be a Filipino, or you have to born. You should born to a Filipino so that you can be. So you can't born because you're already born. So you can work. You can't do that. You can marry a Filipino, then you will get a Filipino citizenship. You can write the Filipino exam. But I prefer like most of the people, you can do your PGs in other countries like 5 English speaking countries like US, UK, Russia, US, UK, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. If this 5 English speaking country, if you pursue your PG there, then you can come back to India. You don't want to write the FMG exam. You can straightly register yourself in the different state medical council and you can start your practicing. And that degrees are valid in not just in India, all other countries out in the world.
Okay.
So it's like
Now,
easy you can do.
so now suppose a candidate wishes to come to India to pursue
Okay.
this post graduation.
Mm.
There is something called FMG. And
Mm.
I heard that in Philippines we have got something called clerkship and exactly not an internship. And we have to do an 1 year internship here. I'm not sure whether this is a true information, but what is it
Okay.
all about?
Because initially everyone has to do the internship. Initially, before 2020 July, there was an amendment passed by MCA Medical Council of India that the people comes from China, Philippines, Nepal, Bangladesh. They don't want to do 1 year mandatory internship here in India to get their permanent registration. They can straightly get their permanent registration because they are doing the 12 months similar internship back in their own country where they get their course. But Tamil Nadu Medical Council is not accepting that because they have their own rules and regulations because they are an autonomous body. They don't want to really go with the role of MCI. So they are not accepting us to get the direct registration, like permanent registration. They want us to do the internship. But other state council like Telangana, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, Maharashtra, Gujarat, they are accepting them for the direct registration. So it's about the council. There are so many cases, like 11 repetitions have been already filed against Tamil Nadu Medical Council for to make a decision on this internship issue. Still, it's pending in High Court. As you know, there is no court is working efficiently right now because of COVID. So the cases are getting pending and been delayed for so many months. So it's like you can wait for that verdict to come out and you can take a risk. But I feel like taking risk, and by the end of the day, if the court tells you to do internship, then again the time will be wasted. So better if you want to do internship, just do it. The 12 months will be like you will get a nice experience. You can understand how the medicine and the way of practicing in India also. So that will help you for your individual practice in like clinical practice, everything. It will help. So better you do an internship. But some state councils like Karnataka and all, they don't want internship. They accept the internship which we do in Philippines and they give the permanent registration directly. But if you have a nativity of Tamil Nadu, it's really hard to get permanent registration in different states. Like if you are coming from Tamil Nadu and if you want to register in Karnataka for the direct registration, permanent registration, it's really hard. They ask you that if you finish your 12th and 10th and 12th in Karnataka, then they will accept you. Or in Gujarat, they ask for 5 years minimum stay in Gujarat. If you stay 5 years before the time of registration, then it's acceptable. You can register because you have the nativity. Every state demands its own nativity thing because so that they can accept you. But unless you don't have this one, you have to go for the Tamil Nadu Medical Council. And I think Tamil Nadu Medical Council is having a fast processing of for the internship. So you can get internship soon. But what's a very bad thing is like you have to pay for internship again, like 2 lakhs to 8 lakhs. It ranges from 2 to 8 lakhs. It depends on the college you choose. It depends on the place you're going to do your internship. If you're doing in private, some private hospitals demands you to pay 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs. Some government they ask for 6 lakhs. So it's the only hard thing you have to do. Like you think that you are done with spending all those money in Philippines,
Starts
still
again.
you have to starts again. That's the only bad thing about internship. Other than that, that 1 year experience is really important. You have to know all the thing what we are practicing in India, because you know something about Philippines, but there will be difference, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you should know it, and then that will really help you to do your practice in India. So you better you do internship. That is good.
Ma'am, and I believe every foreign graduate has to clear FMGE
Yeah.
for pursuing internship, I believe.
Yes.
And then you have to give NEET PG for getting a PG seat here after
Yeah.
you complete the internship. Now,
Yes.
the NMC has passed that next might take over very soon.
Mhm.
And if next comes, will FMGE be a mandatory exam, or how next is going to revamp every procedure of a foreign medical graduate?
See, I think like there will be 2 steps, like next 1, next 2.
Yes, ma'am.
Like I don't know I think the articles I read, all those things were telling there will be 2 exams, like next 1, next 2. If you just need to, even it's not only for FMGs,
For
it
everybody.
will be for everyone.
Yeah.
So if you want to practice in India, you will pass that next 1, then you will like get your basic
License number.
MBBS degree, and then you can practice here. Next 2 is for PG.
Okay.
PG NEET. You have to take that according to your rank basis. You can select the field, the department, like IM, surgery, everything you can select. You can go for the internship, go for the PG residency program. Then you can finish it off and then you can do your practice on that specific area. Or else it will be like that. Or else it will be like next exam. If you get a basic qualifying mark, then you can practice medicine. And for PG, if you get the high score, it's about
Top
the
ranks.
score, the ranking. Yeah, I think it will comes like that. One exam, if you can, it's a 2-in-1, because the main idea behind introducing next is like to avoid multiple exams.
Okay.
To avoid multiple exams like FMG, PG, NEET, all those things, they don't want a multiple exams. So they want one single window for everything. So that's why if you take a next, if you have a basic qualifying, therefore NEET also we have a qualifying mark, right? If you get qualifying mark, it's a qualifying mark. Then according to your rank, mark and then rank, you can go for the other like NEET quotas. So same like that, there will be one qualifying mark. Once you get that qualifying mark, you can practice as a normal MBBS practitioner, general practitioner. Once you get the mark for the rank basis, then you can select the PG, then you can go for PG. I think they are going to make that kind of arrangement for
everybody
the next
falls
exam.
under same
Yeah. So everyone will come under one single roof. There is no FMG, there is no Indian graduates. Everyone has to take the exam. Once you qualify the exam with a qualifying mark, then you can go for practice. And once you are not doing that, then you just go for then PG. It's like, I think like that. I think it will be like that.
It will be good on one side. Ma'am, finally, to wind up, now let me stand in shoes of all the parents. And I have got only two options. Either I need to put my candidate into repeat his course, or I am planning for abroad education. Now I am very much sure that if I get to an institute and inquire about the fee structure for repeat course, they will convince me and they will say my son will be the national topper tomorrow. So I'm pretty much sure they'll push me into repeat his course. So before that, I want to have a word on abroad education. So I come to you. I ask you the pros and cons of almost every place, and even with every individual, we'll have some pros and cons. In between lies the opportunities, the responsibilities, and everything. So what will be the pros that you will say that might take an upper hand over Indian education system, or it can be in par with the Indian education system? Or if there is any disadvantage that you faced or that a candidate might face, and how they have to handle. So finally, I need to get a convincing answer. Okay, yes, I can have Philippines as one of the options. So what will be your final statement?
So before, I just want to mention this point. Before we have like when it is MCI, now it's NMC, right? So before MCI, there was a list of colleges you can pursue your medicine in foreign countries. There will be a list from in the MCI website. But now, once the NMC formulated and they passed and they put an advisory like, if you want to get MBBS or primary medical education in foreign country, it's okay with us. But once you do a country, the course you do there should be acceptable and equivalent to the course for that country person to practice in their country.
Okay.
So, okay, for example, for Filipinos, even after medicine, they have to do 1 year of internship, as same like here, what we are doing right now. After that internship, they will write their board exams and then they can practice as a general practitioner. So once after the clerkship of 12 months, they have to again go for internship for 12 months. So it's like a 24 months of work. Then after they can write their board exams, they can practice. So if it changes for every country, like for Russia, if you do that 6 years, if that okay, then you can write the board exam, then it's okay, fine. You can practice. It depends and differ for each and every country. So now what NMC is telling, we won't give any college list. You can do any country, any college, anywhere. The basic thing you really need is it should be in the world college schools or directory. There is directory for world schools, medical schools. It should be there in that directory. Once it's there, you can go and study there. It's not a problem for them. But you should finish all the procedure, all the course level that and same country person will do to do practice in that country. See what Filipinos do, they will do 4 years of med, they will do pre-med, they do 4 years of medicine, they do 1 year internship, then they will practice. You should also complete the same procedure. At the end of the day, if you are ready, the same thing you should attain what a Filipino do, or what other Russian do, or what a Chinese do for their practice in their country. If that is that you are doing, then your university is accepting that, then you can do your medicine elsewhere in this India, elsewhere in this world. It's not, you don't want to look for the school list in like before in MCA. Before we have a list of schools, we can't go for anything else apart from the list. But now it's not like that. It's up to like this. This is a new rule of NMC. So when you go to a university, better you check. You complete all the procedures what a same country person do. Then you choose that university. Okay, it's giving everything, so I can practice. Okay, then it's not a big problem. That is only one important thing. After the NMC, it has been updated already. So many people are not aware of it. I just want to tell them so that they won't be fall in any fraudulent agents, or they will give that you can finish it MD and you can practice MD, because the degree they give is MD. It's not MBBS. In Philippines, it's MD, Doctor of Medicine. MD. Okay.
MD.
So MD, D for dog. D, doctor.
Okay.
MD,
right.
doctor. What we here we do MD like a post graduation, like MD medicine, MD pathology, all those things. But their basic MBBS is MD. Their basic MBBS itself is MD. So many agents will try to tell that this is like MD equal to a MD of nothing like that. Once you get an internship certificate, it is clearly denoted that Doctor of Medicine equivalent to Indian MBBS. It's written already in the provisional certificate when you apply for provisional certificate in councils. So it's not the MD here, it's MBBS, basic MBBS. But you should also go all the phases how a Filipino do, so that you can practice in your country same like that. So that is one big important rule. Then you will be having so much delay, so much lag, and so much procedures as an FMGE. You have really a good patience. If you really want to do that, then you choose to join any foreign university, then fine. Nothing will happen as like you think. Like I thought like once after December passing in the exam, I will be like getting my certificate by February and I will start working from March. No, nothing. Everything takes a very long procedure, very long time. You have to stay in queue. You have to wait for the response from the council. Everything takes a long process. And you will be humiliated all the places you go because of you are an FMG. Because as you said, there was a myth like FMG doesn't know anything. It's there. But some FMGs are like that. They don't want to learn anything. They haven't learned anything from their clerkship. They will come simply as like that. And they really spoil the name of all the FMGs. I accept it. But not all the FMGs are same. Some FMGs are rare there. They really work hard. They really know much more things than an Indian graduate, truly speaking. I know one of my friend is really good in reading ECG. He's like an expert in reading ECGs. So he's my colleague. He's my classmate. So you can't say all the FMGs are dumb. It's not like that. There are some FMGs you really work hard. That's their passion towards that profession. So it's like you have. Then if you have really confidence that you can one whole year, you can step away from all the social medias, everything, you can keep yourself under a strict control and you can work one whole year for the repeater, then go for that. Go for the challenge 1 year. You challenge yourself. You test your faith. See, like test your faith. You just test it. If you could make it, then it's really good. You can stay back in your country. You don't want to do all the shit procedures what we do. It's really hard. It's really hard. It's not really easy. Now I'm done with almost 90%. Still, I have to do one year
10%.
internship. 10% that 1 year internship. Still, it's a hard part. 365 days of you don't even have a single day off. You should work all the 365 days. If you take an off, you should get again permission from the medical council for the extension, and then you have to do it. It's not like you can take off. If you take off that day, that much days, you should get permission from the council. They will sanction that much day permission, and again you have to go to that institution. You have to apply for NOC, and then again they will give an NOC, upload it in the medical council, and that procedure will go again. Again, it's a cycle. It will go back. Yeah, it will cycle, and you have to do all those procedure again. You have to go there, and you have to finish it. Again, it's a big procedure. So better if you have a confidence, you can do it. The next NEET, then you stay by 1 year, prepare an year. But if you think that no, even I go there, I will pursue what I really want, and I really work hard, I have a good patience, I can do all those things, then try. You will have a nice exposure, especially in Philippines. You will get nice people, nice climate. You will love the country. Even in medicine, the way they teach medicine is also so good, because according to them, only the people who really want to work hard will take medicine. Not all Filipinos are fond of taking medicine. There is nothing like social status, nothing like that. Here, as we have in India, you have a social status. To show up your social status, you should take doctor. No, nothing like that. All Filipinos are really hardworking. Even they have a basic degree, they will ride tricycles, like what we say auto rickshaw here. They try. Some people, they might be like BSc criminology, BSc, all those economics and all. They will try tricycle. They works in They work as a storekeeper. Everything they will do. They never ashamed. They never feel shame to work. They work for their survival. They never feel bad for that. So according to the Filipinos, only people who really want to work hard will take the medicine. Not everyone. So that's why the medicine is really hard in Philippines. You have to pass all those exams. You have a revalida, that is an exam that you have in the end of internship. It's like a Viva exam and written exam. You have a panel of doctors, like Mutri panel of doctors. You have 10 different cases in front of you. You should take one case. You have to read the case. You have to discuss. You have to justify your diagnosis. You have to give a differential diagnosis. What will be the possible treatment? What will be the requested diagnostic procedures? You have to explain that. If the proctor want to ask you what and something, if it's a nephrology case, they want to explain you the kidneys anatomy. You have to explain the kidneys anatomy. You have to explain the kidneys physiology, all those things. The pharmaceutical background you use, everything you should explain. It depends on the panel in front of you. If it's a surgery case, you should explain the procedure. You should explain how much blood how much blood units you should use, how much times you have to calculate, how the fluid should be calculated. Everything you should know. So it's you have a revalida exam. Once you are not passed that exam, you can't graduate. Some people will fail to pass that exam. They have 6 years backlog. 6 months. 6 months backlog. You should again study for the revalida 6 months. Again, you have to appear for the revalida before the panel, and you should pass the exam. And you will have a written exam with 500 questions, 200 clinicals, 200 basics, 250 basics, 250 clinicals. Morning basics and evening clinicals. You have to write that written exam. Out of 500, there again they will 75% is the passing. Then if the class average is 65, then it falls to 65. It's like that. So you have that revalida exam after your internship. 1 year of that clerkship, that what is called as clerkship in Philippines. You have to, once you completed that, you have to write for the exam and you have to pass the exam, or else you can't graduate. So these are the things. So if you are really passionate about this profession and you really want to you don't want to waste an year, Again, it's 6 years in Philippines, right? 2 years of pre-med and 4 years of medicine. It's 6 years. But he is five and a half. So you just think, okay, let me repeat 1 year. If I get, that will be a good. Or if you repeat and you couldn't make it here, then try for foreign. But you should have a mindset that I will be patient, I will work hard until I will get my degree, until I get my permanent registration in India. Then you can try Philippines, other countries like China, Russia, everywhere. But more, I can only explain much good about Philippines because I know everything. So I think it's good. Philippines is a nice choice for medicine because the disease you have here is similar. The subjects are almost same. The way of teaching is good. You have 12 months of internship. So some countries
Almost same
in
to Indian.
yeah. In Ukraine and all, they won't give internship. So once you come here, you will really feel the hectic duty in government when you get government hospital, but government headquarters in Kanchipuram and all, you will feel that really hectic. For us, it's not like that because for us, it's 36 hours duty.
Oh. Continuous
It's like continuous 36 hours. It starts by early 7 o'clock, then you finish it off the next day, 5 p.m. So 7 to 7, 7 a.m. from today to next day, 7 a.m. It's duty. You have to do the duty. From 7, it's 5, it's like from duty. From the duty, you will do the paperwork, all the things you need for the patient. The people who are admitted in the duty time, you have to do all the paperwork. If they want to do your dressing, you have to do the dressing. You have to you have to go and check their progress note. Everything you have to do that in the from duty. All the clinical histories, everything, a fair clinical history, flat abstract, everything you have to finish it off in the from duties. So it's like a 36-hour duty. So I think in India there is no 36 hours. So obviously it's not at all. Yeah, it's not at all hectic for us. In for example, during my IM time, 136-hour duty, I have almost 150 patients. I covered 150 patients in my 136-hour stretch, and there were 21 admissions. So for admission is different. You have to write admission note, that all those things you have to write. You have to get all the laboratories. You have to do all things you have to do for admission. If it's just an ER consult, it's okay. But for admission, you have a very big process. So I don't think that Philippine people would really do their internship well and good. They will never feel Indian hospitals hectic. Yeah, hectic feel will come up for them. But some countries doesn't have internship. So when they come to India and do their internship, they feel hectic. It's true.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for it's really an eye-opening session for everybody, not only for parents and students, also for academic counselors. So I would like to thank you for accepting my invitation and spending your time amidst all the hectic schedules and the duties that you have.
I couldn't make it in today afternoon because I was looking for hospitals in internship. So for government hospital, you have to go to the government department of DMS and DME, Director of Medical Education and Director of Medical Service, and have to go and inquire for the government hospitals and government district headquarters. You have to go there and inquire. So if you could make another other episode for especially for the internship procedure, that will be really good.
Yeah, definitely, ma'am.
If you have, because I know we can't cover everything on this one single section. So if you could make another in some other day, it will be really good. So that it will be also a very good help, because before I do my internship, like all those procedures, I never thought that this is like this much things I have to do. See, I thought like you have to go to the hospital, get a paper and you will get. No, it's not like that. It's also a very big process. So I was going behind that, so I couldn't give you time in the afternoon. But thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure meeting you and sharing my thoughts. So I hope so many people out there will get benefited by my interview. So if they have any other questions, they can approach you and we can form that questions as in one session. We can have another session.
Definitely.
So if I could help you on that session, that will be really happy for me and a pleasure to do that.
Thank you, ma'am, for showing such an interest in educating the people on a very tough topic. Even studying is not going to be difficult, but understanding the admission procedures is. We need a different PhD for understanding the admission procedures.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Even when I pass my FMG, usually FMG have a very less passing score, like passing percentage. So last FMG, 19,172 people wrote the FMG in the last December. Only 3,000 people passed out of it. So I thought, but so many people when I say I passed in my first attempt, they said, "Oh, that's a great job." No, so many people can't do that. Like, but once after that passing, the procedures are now I'm doing. I feel like passing itself is really easy.
Yeah,
Now I'm doing the really hard part. They're doing all those procedures really hard. So. So it's like I don't want anyone else to suffer the way same like what I suffered. So it's like just a give and take policy. I helps here, so I might get help somewhere else. That's it.
Yes, ma'am. So thank you, ma'am. And at this point of time, I would also like to thank Manikvel sir and also other admins of T and NEET support group, Sendil sir, Redu sir, Ekamal sir, for giving me this opportunity to interview a dynamic, energetic doctor. And before lockdown, I was just a normal student and a normal I can call myself tech, I believe. Then I was interviewed and now being interviewed. So there is always this upward growth curve, and all the admins are really the people who lifted me. And also I would like to thank my parents for supporting me at every point of time. And again, once again, thank you, ma'am. And it was indeed a great pleasure and a great time.
I just want to tell you one more thing. You can also join me in your group, so that in future, if you want any other help, like volunteering for teaching something or for PG NEET coaches, or even for FMG, like if you are doing PG, like say FMG course, FME coachings also we are planning to do from our association for for free of cost. So if you could also arrange that, if I'm really available, I can also make it up. So I really love to join hands with your association, so we can help people out there. So I'm really happy to do that.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And I would wish all the candidates best of luck for your board exams and also for your NEET exam. I'll meet you in some other video. Thank you all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.